With Caitlin Clark injured, the WNBA will be reliant on their other stars to carry the league. I'm not just talking about ratings, I'm not just talking about attendance. The WNBA will be reliant on their other stars to maintain the interest of the mainstream.
Caitlin Clark's season is over. Not because she wanted it, not because she gave up, but because her body finally said no. The groin injury, the bone bruise, the endless hits she's taken since she stepped into the WNBA. And yet, when Caitlin Clark broke the news to the world, she didn't lash out. She didn't cry in front of cameras. She didn't even make it about herself. Instead, she gave us 7 words that stopped people in their tracks. Even in the bad, there is good. That single line tells you everything you need to know about Caitlin Clark. Because Caitlin Clark has never just been a basketball player, she's been a lightning rod, a target, a savior, a villain, and now a teacher. To understand why her words matter, you have to understand her journey. Caitlin grew up in West Des Moines, Iowa. From the moment she picked up a ball, people said she was different. She wasn't just shooting, she was pulling up from the logo at age 13. She wasn't just competing, she was dominating boys in pickup games. But with the spotlight came the whispers. She's too cocky, she takes too many shots, she won't survive at the next level. And instead of breaking her, that doubt became her fuel. At Iowa, Caitlin Clark became a phenomenon. Not just a star, not just an All-American, a movement. She turned Iowa into a national powerhouse. Back-to-back NCAA championship game appearances, breaking the NCAA all-time scoring record, men's or women's, packing arenas across the country with fans wearing black and gold. Every game became an event, every shot became a highlight, and every interview became a battle. Because for every fan who adored her, there were critics ready to tear her down. She's selfish, she's a showboat, she can't do it in the pros. But Caitlin Clark thrived in that fire. When LSU's Angel Reese taunted her on the biggest stage, Caitlin didn't back down. She stared right back. When South Carolina tried to smother her, she dropped 41 points and sent them packing. When the NCAA world doubted Iowa, Caitlin carried them all the way to the title game. She wasn't just a scorer, she was a statement. That women's basketball deserved the spotlight, that one player could change the game, that Caitlin Clark wasn't going anywhere. Then came the WNBA, and everything got harder. The hype was bigger than any rookie had ever seen. Her jersey sold out in minutes. Indiana Fever tickets doubled in price overnight. Networks scrambled to broadcast her games, and through it all, Caitlin was just 22 years old. But the WNBA isn't college. It's faster, it's stronger, it's rougher. And from the moment she stepped on the court, veterans tested her, some welcomed her, others targeted her. She got hard fouls, she got elbows, she got shoved to the ground. Game after game, her body took a beating. And behind the scenes, whispers grew louder. Some teammates resented the attention, some veterans resented the spotlight she had stolen. Some fans accused the league of protecting her too much. It wasn't just basketball anymore, it was politics, it was jealousy, it was survival. But Caitlin Clark kept playing, even when she was bruised, even when she was exhausted, even when her body screamed at her to stop. She led the WNBA in assists as a rookie. She broke records for most points by a rookie in Indiana Fever history. She sold out arenas from New York to Los Angeles. She was doing it. She was proving the doubters wrong. Until May 2025, that's when her left quad strain appeared. That's when the groin injury hit. That's when the bone bruise refused to heal. And finally, after months of trying to push through, Caitlin Clark admitted it was over. Her season had come to an end. Now imagine this moment. The world watching, the critics sharpening their knives, the headlines ready to scream, WNBA savior breaks down. Most athletes would crumble, most would lash out, most would hide, but not Caitlin. Instead, she delivered a message that athletes at every level need to hear. She admitted disappointment, she admitted frustration, but she also said this: the way the fans continued to show up for me and for the Fever brought me so much joy and important perspective. I am so proud of how this team has only gotten stronger through adversity this year. She didn't just talk about pain, she talked about gratitude. She didn't just focus on the injury, she focused on the growth. That's not weakness, that's strength. Caitlin Clark has always had critics. When she was a teenager, they said she shot too much. In college, they said she couldn't win a title. In the WNBA, they said she was overrated. And now, as her rookie season ends in heartbreak, they'll say she's fragile. They'll say the league put too much faith in her. They'll say women's basketball doesn't need her as much as people think. But here's the truth. Caitlin Clark has already won. She's won because she changed the conversation. She's won because she brought millions of new eyes to the game. She's won because even in her lowest moment, she's teaching us how to rise. Think about her words again. Even in the bad, there is good. That's not just about basketball, that's about life. Because everyone faces setbacks. The job you don't get, the relationship that falls apart, the dream that feels out of reach. And in those moments, you can spiral. Or you can reframe. That's what Caitlyn did. She didn't see her injury as the end. She saw it as perspective. She saw it as a chance to heal, to grow, to come back stronger. That is emotional intelligence in action. That is leadership in its purest form. So where does Caitlyn go from here? She takes time to heal. She watches her team fight without her. She learns, she grows, and when she comes back, she'll be hungrier than ever. Because Caitlyn Clark has never been defined by easy paths. She's been defined by adversity, and every time adversity comes, she rises. And maybe that's why her words are so powerful, because they're not just about her, they're about every athlete who's ever been injured, every fan who's ever felt defeated, every person who's ever been told you're not enough. Caitlyn Clark's message is simple. Even in the bad, there is good. Even in the pain, there is growth. Even in the setback, there is strength. That's what makes her more than a player. That's what makes her a leader. That's what makes Caitlyn Clark a once-in-a-generation figure. It wasn't just about one player anymore. It was about the future of women's basketball. Think about it. The WNBA's ratings surged this season largely because of Clark. Ticket sales spiked, merchandise flew off the shelves. Even neutral sports fans, the ones who hadn't watched a WNBA game in years, were tuning in to see what she would do next. So when the announcement came, it didn't just sting for the Fever, it stung for the entire league. Because suddenly, the face of women's basketball was gone, at least for now. And while some fans responded with compassion, others weren't so forgiving. Opposing players had long bristled at Clark's spotlight, and whispers grew louder. She's overrated. She hasn't earned it yet. She got too much too soon. For them, the injury was proof. Proof that Caitlyn wasn't indestructible. Proof that she was human, vulnerable, and maybe not ready to carry the weight of an entire league. But here's the thing about Clark. Every time doubters have lined up against her, she's turned the narrative into fuel. Let's not forget the rivalries. Angel Reese, Aaliyah Boston, even veterans like Diana Taurasi have all, in their own ways, been cast as foils to Clark's rise. Some embraced the competition, some resented the coverage, some wanted to test if she could really back it up. And now, with Clark sidelined, the question shifted. Could the Fever survive without her? Could the WNBA maintain its momentum without her? Or was the league's growth tied too tightly to one player's health? That's the uncomfortable truth. Caitlyn Clark's absence exposed how much the WNBA had bet on her, not just as an athlete, but as a symbol, a brand, a movement. And that's why her response mattered so much. Because in a moment where she could have made it all about herself, she didn't. She reframed the story. She shifted the focus back to the team, back to the fans, back to the bigger picture. That wasn't just leadership, that was strategy. That was a masterclass in emotional intelligence, showing grace under fire while the entire world watched. So when we talk about Caitlyn Clark's injury, we're not just talking about one season cut short. We're talking about a turning point for her team, and for the league itself. And that's why the next chapter is so compelling. Now it flows perfectly into your conclusion. So yes, her season is over, but her story, it's just beginning.
With Angel Reese being the only player with mainstream name recognition, most of the pressure, it is going to be on her to perform. And we have plenty of evidence that proves Angel Reese is not qualified to carry the league.